Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Safety and Health webcast, How Your Safety Degree Can Get You One Step Closer to Your CSP, sponsored by Columbia Southern University. My name is Joe Bush. I'm filling in for Kevin Drewley. I'm an associate editor with Safety and Health magazine, and I will be moderating today's session. Thanks for joining us. In a few minutes, we'll start the presentation, but first I want to go over some preliminary items. The views of today's speaker and organization are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the National Safety Council or Safety and Health magazine. Any mention of a commercial enterprise product or publication does not mean the Council or magazine endorses those items. At the end of today's webcast, we will conduct a question and answer session. To ask a question, simply type it in the text box in the lower left-hand corner of your screen and click the button for Submit Question. Feel free to ask your question at any time during the presentation. You don't have to wait for the question and answer session to begin. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible, but because of the large number of participants today, we might not get to every question. Any unanswered questions will be forwarded along to today's speaker. For basic troubleshooting information, click the Help button located on your screen. At the end of the webcast, you will be asked to complete a brief evaluation survey. I will let you know more about that after the presentation. This webcast is archived, so you can access it after today's live event. To view this webcast and all of our past webcasts, go to safetyandhealthmagazine.com/events. With that, let's go ahead and get started. And remember to stay for the Q&A session after the presentation. Our speaker today will be Dan Corcoran, Program Director, Environmental Safety and Health Programs at Columbia Southern University. Before working at CSU, Corcoran has served as an Assistant Area Director for an OSHA Enforcement Office. Over the years, he has also worked as an OSHA Compliance Officer, Corporate Safety Specialist, and Consultant, and has held academic positions at 3 universities. He has a bachelor's degree in biology and a master's in public administration environmental option from the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Corcoran earned his doctorate in business from Toro University International in California. He is a certified industrial hygienist. He was awarded the OSHA 7 Leader of the Year in 2007. Thanks to all of you for tuning in to this presentation. Dan, whenever you're ready, go ahead and take it away.
Hello, I'm Dr. Dan Corcoran. I'm the Academic Program Director for Columbia Southern University's Occupational Safety and Health Program. And today I'm going to be talking about some of the things CSU's been doing to bring you one step closer to the Certified Safety Professional designation. Basically, my plan for today is to talk to you a little bit about the BCSP and the CSP. Now, the BCSP is the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, and the CSP stands for Certified Safety Professional, which is a professional designation that people can earn from the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. So I'm going to go into some detail about that, and hopefully you'll walk out with a better understanding of what that's about if you don't already have a familiarity with that. I'm also going to talk to you about qualified academic programs. Now that is basically a program that has been reviewed by the Board of Certified Safety Professionals and determined to be of adequate quality to earn that designation, the Qualified Academic Program designation. And I'll go into some detail about that. And I'm also going to talk about CSU's program efforts, some of the recent updates we've made to our programs in order to be able to submit the programs to be reviewed by the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. And we have, in the past several months, earned the Qualified Academic Program designation as a result of those efforts. Finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about CSU's Bachelor of Science in Occupational Safety and Health program and how it can benefit you. Okay, so let's start off talking about the BCSP and the CSP. Now, the BCSP stands for the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, and The Board of Certified Safety Professionals is an accredited professional certification granting organization that essentially awards a number of certifications, okay? It's a nonprofit organization, and it awards the certifications that are listed here on the slide. I'm going to be focusing primarily on 3 of the certifications, and it's the first 3 on the list. The first one is the ASP. That stands for the Associate Safety Professional, okay? And generally, the goal here in looking at these first 3 designations is to earn the CSP. That's kind of like the main certification that safety and health professionals want to earn. And in order to earn that, first you have to earn the ASP, and that typically involves having to sit for an exam after meeting a minimal educational requirement. I'll talk a little bit about that educational requirement here in a bit. But so there's a sequence. You have to sit for the ASP exam, and then after you've passed that exam and have worked in the field for a while, then you sit for the CSP exam. That's generally the way it works. Now, the GSP designation is a way to kind of work around the ASP and the CSP, so you don't have to take both exams. And I'm going to talk about that in a future slide. But anyway, these 3 are related, and the end goal of all of this is to earn the CSP designation. The CSP is the Certified Safety Professional designation. And the CSP designation has an educational requirement and an experience requirement and a testing requirement. The educational requirement, the minimum education that one needs to have in order to be able to sit for the CSP exam or to earn that credential, is an associate's degree in a field in the field of safety and health, okay, or a very closely aligned field. So that's the minimum. It's the minimum educational requirement. But alternative to that, one can have a bachelor's degree in occupation, a bachelor's degree in any field, so long as they have the other, or they meet the other criteria. Now, the experience requirement is generally 4 years. They need to be working as safety professionals for 4 years in order to be able to sit for the CSP exam, okay? And finally, the testing requirement. Now, I already talked a little bit about this. The testing requirement, generally a person has to sit for the ASP exam first, and then they need to meet that 4-year experience requirement, and then they sit for the CSP exam, okay? Now, that's typically the way it works. There's some exceptions to that. You know, for instance, if you have another professional certification, you could jump over the ASP exam. For instance, if you're a certified industrial hygienist, you can jump over the ASP exam and just sit for the CSP exam. And that's basically what I did, okay? I did it about 15 years ago, but that's the route I took. And there are several certifications that allow you to do that. But there is also the GSP. The GSP stands for the Graduate Safety Practitioner. That's what the GSP, the letters stand for. And if a person graduates from a program that allows them to earn that particular designation just by virtue of going through that program and graduating from that program, then that allows them to skip that ASP examination as well. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a little more detail here on an upcoming slide. Now let's talk a little bit about how the CSP relates to the QAP. And again, the QAP stands for Qualified Academic Program. And that is the designation that CSU has recently earned from the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, again, the QAP. And we'll cover that in a little more in depth here as we walk through this, and you'll get a better appreciation for what that's all about. Now, The Board of Certified Safety Professionals has this, what they call qualified academic programs, and it generally requires an evaluation of safety and health programs to determine if they meet minimum quality standards, okay? Now, they used to use ABET accreditation. If a university program had ABET accreditation, and ABET stands for the Accrediting Board of Engineering and Technology. If they had an ABET accreditation specific to their safety program, then those programs would automatically be considered a qualified academic program. Now, there are some organizations like ABET that also accredit programs, and the BCSP is okay with those too. But going into that would just require getting into too much detail. But anyway, basically the ABET accreditation was the one that most universities, would shoot after in order for their programs to be considered for the qualified academic program designation. Now, just recently, the BCSP started doing their own evaluation. So they decided, okay, we really don't need to rely on ABET accreditation in order to determine whether university programs whether universities had programs that would meet our quality standards. We're going to start doing our own evaluations, and that's what they started doing last year. And what they use for the criteria is what they call their ASP9 document, and basically that's a study document. It's a study document for the ASP exam, okay? They use that as an evaluation guide. So what universities have to do is they send their entire curriculum, okay, they don't, have to send textbooks too. They send, basically the documents making up the curriculum to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, and then the BCSP reviews those programs to determine if they meet the minimum quality standards and that they align with this ASP9 document. So that's how the process essentially works. Now, this particular slide compares the program that existed at CSU before we submitted our program to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals as compared to the program that we submitted for consideration to become a qualified academic program. And, in looking at this, you can see that the two curriculums are pretty close. They align pretty well up until you get to the very end. If you look over on the left side, you get to the very end, things start changing up when you get down to FIR 3303, okay? That particular course was Introduction to Fire Prevention, and it focused primarily on fire prevention. But the ASP9 document that I mentioned in the previous slide, it, didn't. There were aspects to that document that also required some consideration for fire protection issues as well. Now, we already had a course, FIR 4311, which dealt with both. And so we essentially replaced FIR 3303 with FIR 4311 just to bring in that more fire protection related items into that particular course. We also added a couple of courses. One thing we didn't have in the previous curriculum was an environmental requirement. And safety and health practitioners, as you probably know if you work in the field, have to deal with environmental issues quite a bit. And it's also an issue that is included in that ISP9 document. And we touch on environmental here and there. There's a little environmental in industrial hygiene course and, some of the others. But we never really focused on that in any of our coursework. So we pulled in an environmental course. And then finally that you see over on the right, the OSH 4308, that's an advanced concepts in environmental safety and health course. We've had that for a while, and it's a fairly quantitative course, but it's just been an elective. And we decided to add that because it addressed some issues that we didn't have elsewhere that we thought would be a good addition to the program and aligned well with the ASP document. If you look at the left side there, you see there used to be 2 required electives, and the student could choose between, I think it was 5 or 6 courses. But now with the new curriculum, there really is no choice for those professional electives. There's still a lot of electives that are just in the general program that students can choose to elect, but this particular professional elective, choose 2 from Group B thing, that kind of went away in order to make room for these other courses. Okay, so we made those changes in our overall program, and all of those changes came into effect on April 12th. Of 2017. And again, this is the program we submitted to be considered as a qualified academic program by the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. One thing I didn't show in the previous slide is that there are also some prerequisites that were identified specifically for the program. There is a prerequisite in physics. It's actually a physical science course that does a good job of covering some of the physics items that need to be covered to prepare students for some of the more advanced classes. There's a chemistry course, a biology course, and an algebra requirement as well. So in the past, we did have the algebra requirement in the past, and we also required science courses, but the student was allowed to choose science courses in the past, and we thought that it would be best if they had these specific science courses because they're focused more on issues or items that students would have to deal with in the safety profession. So that's why these were selected. And they also aligned better with Board of Certified Safety and Health, or the Board of Certified Safety Professionals QAP criteria. So that's why we chose these particular prerequisites, okay? And, in doing all of this, at the time, we didn't know for a fact that we were necessarily going to earn the QAP designation. That's a decision that has to be made by the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. But regardless, this was an opportunity to improve our programs. We're always trying to improve, to do better, and this was certainly an opportunity for us to do that. So we chose to move forward, regardless of the outcome. So what are some of the benefits of CSU's qualified academic program? Well, for one thing, the qualified academic program designation is certainly a benefit for CSU because, it is a sought-after designation, and it's a designation granted by a very reputable organization in the field of occupational safety and health, and we are very, very proud to have earned that particular designation. So it certainly looks good for CSU. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. It also confers advantages to our students as well. One of the advantages is that it allows students to be able to avoid the ASP exam and the ASP-CSP exam sequence. And I've already kind of alluded to that earlier, but that's an important benefit right there. It's because a person doesn't have to study for 2 exams. It takes a lot of time and effort to study for an exam, a professional certification exam. They tend to be very comprehensive examinations that require an understanding of a lot of different materials And, having to do that twice is, not having to do that twice, I should say, is certainly a plus, unless you like to spend your time studying lots of materials for months at a time. I guess if you like to do that, then you might miss out going through our program. But anyway, that is definitely, at least what I would consider a very substantial benefit for students. Also, students can use the Graduate Safety Practitioner designation after their names, the GSP designation after their names. And I think that this is, huge for students. They basically, you can put that after your name on your business card, and, people would look at that and say, okay, this person has gone through a program that has been evaluated by a reputable third-party organization and determined to be of high enough quality to go or to earn that designation. So, that says something about you. It says something about the program you've gone through, and, it's a good thing. Another thing as well is that, because CSU's programs are well suited for working adults, it sets students up in a situation to where they can sit for their CSP exam shortly after graduation. I mean, at least that's often the case. And let me talk about that in a little more detail here so it makes some more sense. Basically, our programs are suited for working adults. About 90% of our students, at least in the occupational safety and health programs, are people who already work in the field of occupational safety and health. Our programs are also very affordable. Okay, our tuition rate is quite low compared to competitors, and we also provide the textbook free of charge. And it just makes us very accessible to the working adult. Okay, so people who go through our programs, the benefit from this is people, can afford to go through our programs, but once they get through our programs, because a lot of them already work in the field, they are often in a situation where being able to sit for the CSP exam isn't too far into the future. They have their experience requirement because they've been working in the field. They have their education requirement because they just completed their Bachelor of Science degree in Occupational Safety and Health. They get to hurdle over the ASP because they've earned their GSP designation, and now they're ready to sit for the CSP. So, this is a very realistic scenario, I think, for a lot of our students, and certainly worth mentioning here. Now, when you put all this together, this also provides individuals an opportunity to advance in their career. Generally, people with CSPs hold higher levels within the organization with respect to the safety and health organizational structure within a given company or governmental agency or place of business, I guess. And having that CSP designation kind of makes it so that, it gives individuals an edge over the competition when it comes to applying for those higher level positions. Related to this is the salary of CSPs. Right now, the median salary for CSPs is above $100,000 a year. It's about $109,000 a year, according to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. And that's generally because people with CSPs tend to be able to bid for these higher level organizational positions, in the occupational safety and health structure. So a person can essentially make six figures. You don't necessarily have to have a CSP to, step up the ladder, but having the CSP certainly helps. So that's one good thing about, getting the CSP sooner rather than later, which I think CSU helps to facilitate, and that is being able to move forward in one's career and just do better overall. So that's pretty much the information that I wanted to share with you today. Just to recap, I discussed the BCSP and the CSP and went into a little bit of detail about what those acronyms mean and why the CSP is important. And I talked a little bit about the QAP, the Qualified Academic Programs, and what CSU has been doing with respect to improving our programs in order to earn the QAP designation from the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. I've also talked about CSU's Bachelor of Science program and how it can benefit you as a prospective student. I do want to provide a quick cautionary note, however, and that is that it's important, I think, for people to do their research when it comes to putting forth efforts to obtain a given certification. Okay, you want to know that the certification is going to be well worth your effort and that the certifying body is recognized as a legitimate certifying organization by the safety and health community. And that's all I'm really going to say about that. Just, when you're considering a certification, do your homework, ask some questions, and make sure it's well worth your while to pursue that certification. So with that said, thanks for taking the time to listen to what I have to say, and have a good one.
Excellent. Great job, Dan. Thanks for your insight and expertise. Before we start the Q&A, I want to remind everyone of the evaluation survey we're asking you to complete. The survey should be appearing on your screen. Your input is important because it will help us improve future webcasts. If you do not see the evaluation survey on your screen, please turn off your pop-up blocker. You may also access the survey by clicking the survey button near the lower right part of your screen. Now, let's get to some questions.
Okay. I wanted to just start out the question and answer section with just a quick note, and that is that the Board of Certified Safety Professionals are making some changes with respect to the minimum academic requirement or the minimum degree requirement, depending on how you want to say it. And in July of 2018, they're going to start requiring the CSP applicant to hold a bachelor's degree. And, I just wanted to make that clear. As it stands now, as I mentioned earlier, you could have an associate's degree, but as of a couple months from now, it's going to be a bachelor's degree. So I just wanted to make that clear. And they have some provisions for people who are already CSPs who only have an associate's degree. They can either finish their bachelor's degree or take some courses that are offered by the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. So I just wanted to throw that out there just to make that clarification. I didn't make it earlier. I thought this might be a good place to make it before I start answering questions. So, all right, I'm going to start answering questions here. What is all required to obtain a GSP? You go through university program that has a qualified academic program. You need to go through that qualified academic program. You graduate and apply to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. That's basically what you need to do. You already have an experience in the field. You still need to take the basic classes of chemistry, biology, physics, etc. No, if you already have a degree and experience in the field, you don't necessarily have to do that, but you're not going to earn that GSP designation if you haven't gone through a program that is a qualified academic program. So, that's kind of the bottom line here. That's the main topic, the main focus of this presentation is the GSP. You're not going to be able to get your GSP, but you can still sit for the ASP and the CSP testing sequence to earn your CSP if you have the experience requirement. Okay. Degree. Okay, here's a question. If we are currently In the BS-OSH program at CSU, where our degree program or our degree plans changed over to reflect the new program with the GSP certification, and do we need to speak to our advisor about changing? Now, the changes took place in April, and there was some correspondence that went out to students indicating that we were making that change. You know, if you're curious about this, and if you were late in the program around April, then you might want to talk to your advisor about whether you are on the GSP track or not, because you need to be on the GSP track in order to earn that designation. If you're not on the GSP track, then you know, you will be unable to earn that designation. Basically, CSU sends a letter that you then forward to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals when you apply for your GSP. How long does it take to receive the GSP? You know, I really don't. But once you have your bachelor's degree from a qualified academic program and you apply to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, you know, my experience in working with the BCSP is that they're always very prompt and address issues fairly quickly. So it's not like you're going to have to wait eons. But you know, that is really their responsibility, though. And you know, I can't really speak for them. All I can really say is that the BCSP has always been very helpful for me and turned things around pretty quickly. As far as the cost for the ASP and CSP certification, I haven't checked for a while. I would recommend going to www.bcsp.org and looking into their certification information. And it should tell you about costs and the process and all that kind of thing. So yeah. Yeah, you can do that. You can go to the BCSP's website and see which universities have a qualified academic program. I'm reading one that asked that to see if professional aeronautics is a qualified program. You know, it would have to be a university that had a specific program that was submitted to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals for evaluation. So that's how it works. So it's not necessarily, you know, the name of your degree. It's the actual institution, and did they submit that program to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals? So, you know, that's the way the process works. So, you know, you can check with your school, or you can look on BCSP's website to see which schools actually have been provided with, or earned the designation, the QAP designation. At this point, there's a question. If you already have a BS in OSH from CSU, you know, are there any additional courses that you can take to get that GSP designation? And, you know, we went back and forth with a BCSP on this, and, you know, what's the best way to handle this and that kind of thing. And right now, we really don't have a system for going back and taking courses. And actually, if you already have your degree and experience, it would probably be easier for you just to go the ASP, CSP route anyway. You know, to take a CSP study course, and you know, you can sit for the exams, you know, pretty close to each other. You know, basically you just need to know that you passed the ASP before you can schedule the CSP exam. So, you know, it would probably behoove you, with regards to finances and time, just to go the ASP, CSP study route, or ASP, CSP route anyway. So rather than have to sit through a number of courses and pay tuition and all that kind of thing. But that's the only advice I can give on that issue. Thank you. You're welcome. How much does your program cost? I'd have to go in and recalculate in order to give you specifics on that. But I would urge you to go to columbiasouthern.edu and the current tuition costs are listed, and it's I think we had a slight increase. Usually when we increase, it's just a few dollars per credit hour. It's not like you see it some institutions, but we are one of the most competitive in the market regardless. So I just urge you to go take a look and see what the current tuition rates are, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay. Looking through some more here. There was a question about was this presentation meant for those who don't have environmental health and safety degrees, and it was really focused on this one degree program and to educate people a little bit on what qualified academic programs are and how they can be beneficial to you. Will Columbia Southern University award credit for full-time safety and health experience? And the answer to that is no. We go according to certain guidelines set by national organizations with respect to awarding credit. And generally, when we do some kind of credit type of thing, we can do some things with training, with occupational safety and health training, depending on the organization. And we have a staff of evaluators who are very well trained with respect to knowing what we can and cannot give credit for, but we can't do it for life experience. Okay, here's a question. What if you want to get safety at the master's level? You already have a BS in another relevant discipline. Are you able to still apply for the GSP designation? And again, we have to go back to the issue to the situation of the actual program itself. The program itself has to have been awarded the designation. So that's how it works. So if you went through a program that was closely related to safety and it had a QAP designation, then yes, you could apply to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals for that GSP designation. But otherwise, you could not. Okay. Okay, here's a question about a person who is OSHA certified in construction. I'm guessing they've taken the OSHA Training Institute courses. They've been in safety for 25 years, including marine and shipping industry. Do I need to obtain a degree before taking the next step? Now, if what you would like to see happen would be to earn a CSP designation at some point in the future, then the answer to that is yes. You would need to get a bachelor's degree. So yeah. 2013. Okay, here's a question about they graduated from CSU in 2013 and got a BS in Occupational Safety and Health. Can I bypass the ASP? And the answer is no. No, you can't. You have to have graduated from our program as of April 12, 2017 in order to be able to earn that GSP designation through application. Accreditation. If someone wants to pursue an MS in other higher educations, universities, accept this degree for a PhD. Okay, I think what this is asking is if a person wants to pursue an MS in occupational safety and health, will other higher education universities accept this degree for a PhD? And the answer to that question is sometimes yes and sometimes no. It's up to the institution. We have a lot of reputable institutions who have accepted our students over the years, and at both the master's and PhD level out of our safety programs. But there are some institutions who have, who are very specific about, who they are, or about, the educational background of people who are coming into their program. So I would say, you need, if you have a plan to go to a certain university and earn a PhD or a master's, you want to check with them, and make sure that the CSU's degree, or really any other university's degree, will transfer into their program or be accepted by that institution. Credit for these certifications. There's a question about us awarding credit for certifications, and the answer to this question at this time is no. We've heard that some universities have figured out a way to do this, but we currently don't give credit for certifications per se. Now, some of the training that back up these certifications might earn. For instance, if you took a prep course or something like that, you might be able to earn a credit hour or two, a general credit hour or two from that, but not just a certification in itself, because we really can't establish face-to-face time with a instructor or that kind of thing. So at the present time, no. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of things about, I graduated from CSU before April 2017, so can I get my GSP? And the answer there is no again. There's a question about how our program is presented. Is it via DVD or distance learning? And it's via distance learning using the internet. We use the Blackboard platform and send a text to the students and that kind of thing. So that's how it works. You need to have internet access in order to attend our programs. Someone asked about, does the ASP stand alone as a designation? If so, I see a lot of jobs requesting CSP versus ASP. And yes, the ASP does stand alone now. You can just get your ASP and just go with it. It doesn't expire. It's a fairly recent change. But yeah, I think that's just the industry standard. All these years they've, people, we want a CSP, and maybe at some point in time the ASP option will catch on. It's hard to say. How long after graduating from CSU with the GSP credential can a graduate sit for the CSP program? Or can they sit, I guess, for the exams, for the CSP exams, what this person meant. And as soon as you get your experiential requirement, your experience requirement, and you are approved to sit for the exam by the board certified safety professionals, that's when you can sit for your exam. So there's really no waiting period per se, so long as you have that experience requirement, outside of just the logistics of getting everything done. in order to sit for the exam. Okay. Wow, there's a lot of questions. What I'm doing is I'm kind of going through these and trying to find questions that I haven't answered in one way or the other. A lot of them are just asking, I have a previous degree that was before April, can I still get the, am I still eligible for the GSP? And again, the answer there is no. Where is this program offered? You can take a look at columbiasouthern.edu on the internet, www.columbiasouthern.edu, and go down and look at College of Safety and Emergency Services, and just follow the links to Occupational Safety and Health, and that will provide you with some more information. Okay. There's a question about OSHA 30-hour courses and safety trained supervisor training. Can I use those towards CSU credits? And there's possibly. There's an organization called ACE that we use for evaluating training credentials and translating those into academic credit. And this is a system that's used nationwide, and that's what we use to make those calls. So that's certainly something that we could look at. What you would want to do would be to submit your information to an evaluator and see at CSU. Basically go through the admissions process, submit that, and it doesn't cost anything to do that, and have them evaluate your transcripts, your training transcripts, and see what we can do for you. So. Sometimes, most of the time, people are like, all right, I got a few credits here and there, but, it's not really a way to get through a degree, we can accept a lot of different non-college credits, and make that transfer, but it's a process. It's kind of a process that's done on a national level at universities throughout the country, and we do what we can to help students out. Okay, there's a question about if you took a program that was that's on the list of qualified academic programs, but you took it before the dates listed on the website, you qualify for the GSP essentially, or to just set for the CSP exam, and the answer there is no. The organization's program, once it's designated as a QAP, that's kind of like the starting line, for sitting for, or for getting that GSP designation. So at least that's the way it worked for us. Here's a person who says they're going to graduate with a BS in Occupational Safety and Health from CSU soon. Would I encourage that person sitting for the ASP? And that's kind of a personal decision. If you went through the qualified academic program version of our program, then you could sidestep the ASP. A person could still take the ASP, I imagine, but that's just kind of a personal decision. So I'd encourage you to look into seeing if the program you went through allows you to apply to the BCSP for the QA or for the GSP designation. So yeah. Okay. Master's program. Someone asked about, does the GSP work with our master's program offered at CSU? And the answer to that question right now is no, not yet. We are currently working on making some revisions to our program to make sure that we meet as many of the criteria that was indicated on that ASP 9 document that I mentioned earlier. We're making some changes to some of our courses just through our normal course development process. Every so often we rewrite courses to keep things up to date, and it's possible that we'll be submitting our program for QAP review by the end of the year. That's a possibility. No promises at this point in time, but that's just kind of the direction we're heading right now and how we're revising our courses. We're revising our courses with that submission in mind. So it's possible that that could happen in the future. But then the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, they have to evaluate it and decide, this program, is of high enough quality to earn this designation. So it's not up to us. It's up to another organization, and we have no control over that. But I can tell you that we are making efforts to go in that direction, and we're optimistic that that may happen in the not too distant future. Okay. Do courses transfer from other universities? And I assume that is in reference to, do we transfer courses into our program for other universities? And yeah, of course we do. We evaluate, we have evaluators who evaluate things, like I said, based on national standards and that kind of thing. And of course we consider courses taken at other universities. We have a lot of people who transfer in with associate's degrees from community colleges and stuff like that. So yeah. We accept Australian University post-grad certification. We have to. There's an evaluation process for that, and we have a system set up for doing that evaluation. For other countries evaluating transcripts from other countries. So yeah, there is a process for doing that. Do we accept it across the board? I can't answer that. I don't work in the registrar's office, but we do have a process for considering university transcripts from other countries.
Let's have one more question, Dan.
Okay, let me see here. Here's a question. Would CSU consider submitting prior year's programs to see if BCSP would accept them? And, I don't think that is something that we could probably do. That would be just that would be enormous burden, and I don't know if there's a system set up even to do that. That's not something we've talked about before. That's something maybe I can bounce off leadership and see what their thoughts are. But the thing is that, we're rewriting courses all the time, all the time to keep them current. And it would be difficult to track that to take snapshots of where we were at any given time in the past. So, I don't foresee that happening. I don't foresee that happening. Will it never happen? I don't know, but I just don't foresee that happening.
Thank you, Dan. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. I'm sorry we didn't get to everyone's questions, but all of today's unanswered questions will be forwarded to the speaker. Once again, I hope you take the time to fill out the evaluation survey on your screen to give us your feedback. That ends today's Safety and Health webcast. I'd like to thank Dan Corcoran, everyone at Columbia Southern University, and all of you who listened in. Thanks, and have a great day.